Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Now, Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast, where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. And each week, we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry, and today we have an amazing guest joining us, Shachar Orren, co-founder, CRO, and CMO at XCO. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. It's lovely to have you. Lots of impressive titles. We were talking about that before the show, weren't we? We want you to add some even more to that. But before we do talk about that, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the company that you work at?
So I'll start with XCO. We have been around for 12 years now, and we are a video technology company that helps leading media companies globally grow their revenue from video. We have been around for a while, always building technologies for publishers. We started focusing on video over the last few years, and that's where we really found our success. We work with media companies across the web, publishers on the web, and in CTV, connected TV. Which we're really excited about. And we have built machine learning-based technology that helps them run. This is where it gets very technical and boring, so I'll keep it short, I promise. We help them run their programmatic auctions in the ads that run in their video in a much smarter way. I've been with the company since its inception. We had a different name in the beginning. We had a completely different product. Things have evolved and changed over the years. My personal background is actually not in tech before XCO. I was a journalist. That's how I started my career. I did that for almost a decade, and it actually gave me a really interesting entry to a company that builds technology for publishers. So I was on the editorial side and then made the switch to the tech side to support publishers in their journey. And that's a very, very important mission for us as a company and for me personally.
You've got a really impressive career history, but I'm very curious, what was the switch from journalism to digital content management? Why was that so important for you to switch?
It was for various reasons. So first of all, on the personal side, I was a journalist for almost 10 years. I've gone from, a very junior writer to an editor to a deputy chief editor at a big magazine in Israel. And it kind of felt like somewhat of a glass ceiling for me in this industry. Specifically in Israel, the media industry is very small, and I worked in print. So you can imagine what a small part of a small industry that is. And it felt like there's not really a lot of places to go, to progress, to move forward with. And the magazines that I worked for were shrinking. There were less ads. Today I work, we built a technology that powers revenue from ads for publishers. But on the print side, less ads, the magazines were shrinking. And I felt, I was still pretty young, and I felt like I was too young and too ambitious to be at an industry that I felt was somewhat, in its demise. And I had a really exciting opportunity. I met with Tom Pakis, who's my co-founder now, and Shaul Olmert, who was the CEO of the company back then, 12 years ago, and was really excited about that mission to go to the other side instead of being in the industry that is not really getting support from anywhere, that is doing something so important. Not me personally. I was an entertainment and culture journalist, so I wasn't doing anything important, but some journalists are. And I really was excited about the opportunity to support that and to be a positive force for the publishing industry that, is still somewhat of a source of truth in our world with, not a lot of truth still to be found. So on a personal level, it felt incredibly exciting and so much opportunity. And obviously we were very early stage. I had no idea that 12 years later, this is where we're going to be with over 100 employees globally and working with some of the biggest media companies in the world. But I felt that something exciting is going to happen. And I was also completely lost. I came from a non-digital, print-based space to a very, very digital, very technical world and industry. And honestly, it was a roller coaster. I loved every moment of it.
Were there any of your experiences from being a journalist that have actually helped you, like in the setup and running of this new company?
Honestly, many of my experiences helped me because initially, so today we build a technology that helps companies grow their video revenue. But early on, when we just started, our product was more about growing engagement on the web, for web publishers. And we worked with newsrooms, we worked with editorial teams. And the fact that I was able to connect to their day to day, to the struggles, to their challenges was very meaningful. And we also hired more people on my team and other teams that had that type of experience, that worked for publishers. And it just is a lot more relatable for the customer when they feel that you get them. Again, the publishing industry, as important as it is, doesn't get a lot of support, from the tech industry. There's the walled gardens, like the Googles and Facebooks of the world that obviously work very closely with this industry, but also take away a lot of its traffic. A lot of the content and attention goes to these new, to social media, to many places. And it felt good to be able to understand the struggles and be able to offer support.
I've actually been to your website and I've seen you've got some remarkable testimonials from people who actually have been with you and are using you. So it's great feedback that you're getting. What does success actually look like for you? Is it these testimonials? Is it the engagement? Obviously, profits are in there somewhere. Let's not pretend that it isn't. But what other things do you use to measure your own success in the company?
So today, because we're a pretty mature startup, it really is first and foremost about revenue. And that's what's interesting, is that's also the KPI that our clients measure our success based on, because we sell them a product that helps them generate revenue. It's funny, I use the word sell, but it's not exactly a sell because we make money together. We're not selling them something that they pay for. We help them grow their revenue and take a cut from that, which is a very, very different story. Something that took us years, to get to a point of understanding that's how we need to work with the media industry to really be valuable for them. So that, is the key way that we look at success. And then there's obviously, a lot of other kind of PIs that we look at. So testimonials, the types of companies that we work with. We are lucky to be working with companies like USA Today and the Arena Group and Motorsport and Advanced Local and Atmosphere TV and many of very big, well-known media companies. And that's a really major thing for us, is to know that these big companies put their faith in us and invest time in working together. There's indicators of the size of our customer base and of the user experience. So it's not all about let's generate as much revenue from ads as possible. It's let's make the experience for the readers positive. Let's do something innovative in video that hasn't been done before, on the web or in CTV. So there's a lot of other things that matter to us. And I will say, the fact that we're able to measure ourselves on revenue is not to be taken for granted, since we've had a 12-year journey and it took us years to get to finding a business model that worked. And so it wasn't always the case that that's how we measured ourselves. And I'm glad we're at that place now.
So let's talk a little bit about Xcode. So, let's say there's a company there that's interested in taking on your services, and why wouldn't they? How do you help publishers and brands like turn content like into measurable engagement and revenue?
So what we do is we built a video technology, what we call yield engine. We realized that what we need to solve, as I mentioned, for many years, we've been building technologies for publishers. In the beginning, it was about engagement. Later on, we realized video is where we need to focus. The reasons being it's what a lot of people, readers, love to consume. And it's a really exciting potential revenue source for these media companies that we work with. And we realized, again, after working with this industry for many years, that if we're not going to focus on how to help these companies generate more revenue, we're not going to be relevant. We will always be a nice to have. It will never have that true product market fit that every startup is looking for. And so we ended up focusing while, again, our background is in product and content. We ended up focusing on first and foremost delivering more revenue for the companies that we work with. So we built that yield engine. It's essentially, to make it very simple, kind of like a brain, a machine learning based brain that helps with the decisioning of what happens in the programmatic, so the automated auction for ads that end up appearing on publisher sites or in, connected TV apps and channels. What the decisioning that goes behind the scenes of what ads ends up, being shown to what user and all of that is incredibly complicated, used to be very manual. And we built the engine that makes all these decisions in real time, in milliseconds, and all automated and very, very simple to use. And that's what kind of brings the key value to the partners that we work with, because it helps them grow revenue, take control over their business, be more independent in how they run their business, and so on. Beyond that, we also have a suite of tools for video content, for how to manage that, kind of new innovative products, as I mentioned, of how video is shown on websites, which, if you think about that, there's not been a lot of innovation in video on websites. It's a player with ads. There's not a lot of innovation that happens there. And that's also something that we really emphasize.
So is Exco for everyone? Like, how do I, as a stakeholder, know whether Exco is right for me?
So if you have a website or a CTV app or an out-of-home, screens that digital out-of-home screens, and you're showing ads, and you have a decent amount of traffic, so not, a small blog with a few people coming to it, but a decent amount of traffic to make money from ads, and you're interested in growing revenue from video ads, then Exco is for you.
What are like some of the common pitfalls? I mean, obviously you've got lots of customers, you've got lots of stakeholders, and you may have seen some similar mistakes being made, especially in the early stages when they first start running up. Like, what are the common pitfalls that companies face when they try to monetize content or even like drive engagement?
First of all, monetizing content is challenging because producing content is challenging, especially when we talk about video. Today, supposedly much easier, right? With the, generative AI tools, and everyone can generate a video, but still, if you've tried that, it's not that easy to produce something that is of high quality, and definitely not to do that at scale, right? So publishers need to produce dozens of videos a day, or very big amounts. And before all these AI tools that, again, are still advancing and they're not all perfect, they had to produce everything by themselves. So they had to shoot videos and edit videos, and it's very expensive. It's a lot of work. And that's a big challenge. And then there's so many different factors to how you can make money out of that. And again, I'll focus on video because that's our expertise. It's, do I monetize with direct campaigns, which means, I'm speaking directly to an advertiser and they're buying my inventory and putting their ads in my player? Or again, the programmatic ecosystem, which is incredibly automated, supposedly very plug and play, but incredibly complex, right? Think of a video and like, where do you cut for ads, and how many ads versus content, and who sees what ad and when, and many, many, many decisions that need to be made. And I'm not even getting into the complexities behind the scenes and the regulation and a lot of changes that this industry goes through. A publisher will struggle to do all of this by themselves. And then I'm not even getting to the concept of, again, scaling video content across all pages. If you want to have a video here and there, maybe that's easier. But if you really want to grow video revenue, you need a lot of video because you want a lot of ads, and you also want a lot of video because, your readers love that and they consume video, and scaling that. So you can't have editors deciding which video goes on every page. That will be a never-ending process. And so, long story short, a lot of decisions that need to be made and need to be done right. And we try to help with all of the above.
You mentioned AI a couple of times now, so it'd be perfect time to ask that question. Like, how do you see AI and language learning models in personalization shaping like future engagement, particularly around videos?
I think the potential, obviously, for personalization is huge, and we see it everywhere beyond video. There's now, there's actually been personalized videos even before AI, where you open a video and it says your name, and and obviously with targeting, and a lot more that can be done. I think, again, AI presents a really interesting opportunity on many fronts. It's both in the content creation, it's in personalizing the content, it's in, making all the decisioning behind the scenes, as I mentioned, easier. It's in helping journalists and the people that need to produce content and scale. However, I think the media industry specifically is, and rightfully so, also really worried about, the entry of AI into their space. And that's because, now when you Google something, you used to go into a website and click a link and read an article about, the topic that you were Googling. And now you get an AI overview, and it's stealing a lot of publishers' traffic. And so, there's kind of a mixed feelings relationship around the entry of AI into the content world. I'm actually optimistic. I think it will bring more positive, but it will take time to get there.
Are there like any emerging platforms like or formats that you think will start to dominate the next wave of digital content?
Well, I think, one of the things that we have obviously noticed that's becoming kind of more and more popular is obviously vertical video. It's been on social media forever, but you don't see a lot of vertical video on the web, so on websites. And the whole experience of what vertical video on TikTok or on Instagram brings with it. And it's something that we hear from a lot of our customers that they're looking to do. And that's, I alluded to it earlier, but it's, we're going to have a really exciting launch around that, that I think will kind of bring an experience to publishers that they haven't had before, that I personally am really excited about.
I'm quite old, as anyone will know. So I'm 46. So I'm 46, and I remember watching videos in my time. I don't know if you predictions of the future, any but holographic AIs that would say your name and know details about you and try to sell you something. Now, in the past, I thought, oh, that's hundreds and thousands of years away. I'm not so sure. I mean, we're not there yet, don't get me wrong, but I think that's coming closer and closer. That being the case, is that the kind of direction that you would like to see like media engagement and media formatting go in the future? And if it is, what concerns are there potentially, especially in relation to like knowing my name and knowing details about me, and how do you navigate those hurdles?
So it's interesting. It's while personalization abilities become more and more sophisticated, specifically in our industry, there's also a lot more concern for privacy and, a drive towards more like contextual targeting versus targeting that's based on a lot of personal information. And so it's actually in some ways getting less scary. And, we actually launched, you mentioned LLMs before. So we launched an LLM based engine that helps match video content to a page based on the context of the page. And so, again, we talked about how to scale video. So you'll make sure that the video will be the most relevant video to what the person is reading without knowing who the person is, but based on the context of the page. And there's a lot more of that happening, which is interesting. You said like all these like AI, it's very scary, it's very futuristic. One of the trends that I personally am excited about is that I think all of that and all of the sameness that AI has brought to content, where everyone now is writing LinkedIn posts as if they were Shakespeare, and their English is all of a sudden, they're using words that I can't even pronounce. With all that comes, I think, a desire for content that is slightly more authentic, that is less polished, that is not perfect. And that's something that I am excited kind of to see where that is going to take us.
I'm so glad you said that. I have been watching videos on YouTube quite recently and starting to predict that, this is an AI video. It has a certain soulless feel to it. So it's really interesting that you say that. And I was speaking to one of my friends, and they were talking like about the YouTube graveyard or the AI graveyard, where people are so inundated with AI that they actually start to appreciate the individual, perhaps flawed, maybe flawed, but the individual efforts more. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
I do. And, you see it in simple trends, like everyone now sharing their photos from 2016 on social. I'm sure you've come across that. It's everywhere. And you see these photos of, they're so unpolished and it's so real and it's authentic, or people who actually try to write a post by themselves and not use any engine to help them do that. And yeah, I think there's I'll call it like an ugly aesthetic in a way that's coming back, that I think we miss. I totally agree with you. That's soulless. It can be in writing, it can be in video. We are getting very sophisticated in identifying that. And I think we will start to appreciate when it's not that a lot more.
Looking ahead, the future looks very exciting for XCO. Where do you see your company and the digital engagement space as a whole evolving over, like, say, the next 10, 15 years?
So, 10, 15 years is like science fiction in startup terms. Let's
Let's go 5 then.
Let's start with 5. We have started, I mentioned, we've always been building technology for publishers. And over the last several years, we've built video technologies for publishers on the web. And over the last year, we brought that into the connected TV and digital out-of-home space, which is something we're incredibly excited about. It's a growing industry. There's so much opportunity there. They used to run a lot of their advertising via direct campaigns that I mentioned before, and not in the automated programmatic way. And that has started to grow immensely, and that's where we can help. And that's something we're really excited about. Beyond that, every industry now almost is going into advertising in some way, shape, or form. You see it in airlines and hotel chains and Uber, that has a really successful ads business. Not a lot of people are aware of that. Everyone wants their cut in ad revenue, and we have built, again, that machine learning based brain that can help them do that more successfully. And so I think there's a lot more that we can do, and I'm very excited about where we are and what the future holds.
I saw recently a product about a fridge that is now going to start advertising to you. Do you think there would be more avenues or more ways of advertising to us than the standard television screen?
Everything will be a screen, right? There's the glasses, the fridge, I'm sure we're going to be seeing ads everywhere. But it's funny, I feel that the more ads we see, the more relevant they become in some way. So they get more sophisticated. It goes back to that creepy, they know everything about me. The benefit of that is that they really show me ads that I care about versus, you said being old. I remember sitting in front of the TV and having to watch endless ads that are irrelevant, not interesting, very long. So at the very least, now the ads experiences that I see are a lot more tailored to me. And sometimes I actually buy things off of ads, which I think if you asked most people 10, 15 years ago, they probably not knowingly, maybe, in their subconscious they did, but not knowingly. So that's also interesting.
So this company has grown from success to success. If there's someone watching now, maybe you've inspired them, maybe in the early stages, they're not sure if they want to be a co-founder or not sure if they want to be a CEO of their own company. Having had the experiences that you've had, what is the best piece of advice that you would give someone starting out new for the first time?
I think what a lot of founders don't think about is that in the positive scenario that everyone wants, that the company's successful and it's growing, it means it's the next 5 to 10 to even 15 years of their life that they're going to be doing this. And so it needs to be something that they're passionate about. And when I say that, that's not about necessarily the product that they initially are thinking to go into the market with. It's more the industry and the high level, area that they're dealing with, because the product is going to change countless times. We've been there. And I think the second thing is think very carefully about the people that you go on this journey with. My co-founder, Tom Pakis, the CEO of Exco, we've been building together for 12 years, and we still have so much fun brainstorming and thinking about things together and just doing all of this together. It's people always compare it to, I see my co-founder more than I see my family. And, we're almost like a family with, 100 employees. It's like 100 kids sometimes, and having so much responsibility, you really need to work well together and to make it work. And honestly, none of this would have happened without him. So I'm very lucky.
So we did reference your titles towards the start of the show. And just one last question before we do leave. Would you recommend someone juggle so many hats, to have so many different areas? Do you find that a little bit confusing, a little bit tiring, or do you actually thrive on having so many different things going on at once?
I always say, every few years I collect more titles and more letters to my title. So it didn't happen all at once, and I definitely don't recommend it being kind of like a decision from the get-go. I started being more focused on content, then on marketing, then sales and marketing, and I do feel that it makes sense because they connect, but that made sense for us. And it doesn't necessarily make sense for other companies. It really is about the executive, their bandwidth, what they're able to pay attention to. Specifically, again, for us, connecting sales and marketing made sense. But I think most founders suffer from lack of focus. And so, no, I don't recommend taking on way too many things. The opposite. Find really great people to delegate things to. And we are so incredibly lucky. We have such an amazing team that I have to mention that because, again, I said none of it would have happened without Tom, and none of it would have happened without our incredible employees.
Shachar, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I hope you did it likewise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was great.
That was Shachar Orren, co-founder, CRO, and CMO at Exco.